everyone, it's me, Scarlett. This is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video. It's kind of more of a vloggy, chatty, what have I been up to in March kind of thing. Long time no speak. But I have been really busy in March. I did a lot in March, but I just didn't feel really inclined to pick up my camera as I was just kind of plodding along, doing the thing day in, day out. And it wasn't very exciting. There wasn't a lot of big event sort of stuff that was happening. I didn't do any new covers or anything like that. So I just kind of went along and then came to the end of March and realized, hey, I haven't really filmed anything, even though I got a ton of work done. So I did a few things in March that I wanted to talk about because they were a little bit of game changers for me. I don't know if I'm going to stick with them forever and ever and ever, but there were a couple things that I kind of changed up that seemed to work really well. So the first thing that I did was I've kind of been working on 2 projects. I've talked about that before, but I always really feel guilty about working on that second project because it's kind of a passion project. It's not the book that people are expecting. It's not moving me in that specific direction, but it's something that I really, really want to do and do plan on finishing. But I always feel bad about it because there's a book that I should be writing and I was kind of like getting to that point where I was frustrated with it as well. I look really splotchy here. I don't know what that is. I apologize. Anyways, I was working on that book. I got to the beginning of March and February was a bit of a whirlwind with my trip to Mexico and just doing other things and a bunch of other family stuff that happened. And I was just frustrated with it again. And I'm like, I need to find a way to keep moving forward on this book, to stop feeling guilty for working on this other project, and to, make some progress in both of them. So I came up with this idea of giving myself like ridiculously small word counts that I'm required in my to-do book. So every single day I had to at least get this super low word count, like it's less than a writing sprint for me, to be able to free up my time to either not write at all if I wanted the break or to work on that other project, and I could spend as little or as much time on that as I wanted to. There were 2 reasons for this. One, if I got to the end of March and I hadn't actually put any new words in and gotten some of the plotting done and got the work that needed to be done in the passion project, then that was going to tell me something about that project and whether or not I really wanted to pursue it, or if it was one of those things where it just seemed easier than the book that I was working on. And it was also going to keep me moving forward, even though it's in tiny bite-sized pieces in the book that I should be working on. If you've read anywhere online, you've probably read that the book Coraline by Neil Gaiman was written in 350-word segments. So I figured if he can do it, then hopefully so can I. So I started about March 5th doing this little bits and pieces every day, and I was pretty good at it. I kept relatively consistent, which was really awesome. The longest stretch I went without writing was 3 days, and I actually kept up with the words at the end. So on that 4th day, when I sat down to write, I wrote the minimum that I needed for 4 days, and then moved forward that small amount every day. So that worked out really well. So I kept up. I wrote that minimum for every single day, even if it wasn't on that particular day. And for the rest of the month, I don't think I went more than 2 days without writing, which was awesome because one of my goals for this year is to try and build more consistency and more of a writing routine. So this definitely kind of played into that inadvertently. The other nice thing about it is it was helping me finish chapters. So when I would sit down and want to get big word goals in, I would write the things that I knew. And so in a lot of cases, that would be big chunks of dialogue or parts of a scene, but there'd be parts of scenes that I just didn't know what to do with yet, or I was struggling with. And the small word counts were really great because I could spend a half an hour working on a particular section that was difficult, and I would still manage to get that super small word count that I needed. So those chapters were actually getting closed off and finished, as opposed to just really large pieces of a lot of different scenes and nothing ever really being done. So it really feels like I'm moving forward with that project, which is great. And with my extra time, I did actually do the work of working on my characters, working on my plot, and doing some of the writing in the other project. So I did get several thousand words in my other project as well. So at the end of the day, not only did I move forward in my to-do project, and I'm actually at the point where if I keep this up, I'm going to be able to finish at the deadline that I had originally set for myself, even while I'm still working on another project. And I've gotten a lot more words in for this project, and I'll be so much further ahead by the time this other manuscript is finished. So this could be a really, really awesome change for me. The other thing I did find too is the more consistent you are and the more that you stay within your story, which is something I've always known, but has always been hard to put into practice, is the fact that just even those little bits of words every single day, I tended to write more than I needed to. So I wouldn't count that against other days. If I wrote 100 words more, 200 words more, 300 words more, I would just still write that same amount that I needed to write the next day. I wouldn't count it for that or anything like that. The only other time that I did count it is if I was trying to catch up. So that worked out really well, and I actually came out further ahead than I had expected. So that's what's really kind of kept me on track, even though I lost some writing time to the other project. The other thing that I did this month that has really, really helped is I did something I like to call my social media diet. And basically what this is I'm really, really trying to force myself not to scroll on social media. If you've seen me around, you know I've stayed on social media all of March, and this kind of came up in the second half of the month. And it was spurred on by a couple of things. Number one, I had gone through some of the Publish and Thrive videos again, and there was a video on comparisonitis. And I've actually been pretty good with comparisonitis. Sometimes it does creep up and cause me to go into a little bit of a spiral, but generally when I see posts like somebody saying about how they're making six figures or something like that, I can kind of take it with a grain of salt and break it down and rationalize stuff to myself that I'm not going to be putting myself down. The thing that I found interesting though is after watching that video, I ended up scrolling through something and I came across somebody talking about working on a new project. It was a great post. There really wasn't a lot to it. It was just very much on the, just finished this book, working on the next one, really excited about it. And the back of my brain went, you're so lazy. You are like just this lazy writer because they started this series after you planned on the book that you're working on right now to already be out, and they're already on book 3, 4, 5, or whatever it happened to be. And it took its toll on me. Like, it was one of those totally innocuous kind of things that really shouldn't have affected me, but it did. And if you do follow Becca Syme, she did back in that month, had a challenge about not opening your social media or your email or anything like that first thing in the morning and trying to get your writing done. And I was like, well, maybe there is something to that. I didn't follow the challenge, but what I decided was that I was going to reduce my social media intake. So I still posted. If I got notifications on something, I would still check that out. If somebody sent me a message, whatever. But I refused to let myself scroll. And that was really, really hard. I never really thought how difficult it was going to be to not scroll through social media. But it ended up being really, really good for me because I wasn't seeing a lot of those things that would kind of trigger it. I don't know if it had a combination of getting a consistent writing routine together, but I was writing more towards the end of the month. And the other thing that kind of came out with it was the amount of time that I spend scrolling that I never really realized. You just kind of pick up your phone, for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, here and there. But that kind of adds up a lot over time. So I would instead read my book, or I had 10 minutes, so I'm just going to fix the back matter on my book and upload it. Like jump into Vellum and fix those links that I've been meaning to do for months and months and months and months. So those little tiny tasks got finished because I wasn't wasting my time scrolling through social media. I wasn't hitting stuff that was triggering me on social media. Some stuff still kind of came through, but it is what it is. I saved a bunch of time. I got a lot more of my reading done. I got my writing done every single day, and I think it's a really, really good thing. I did, however, felt like I was missing out a little bit, so I think I might temper it with maybe on Saturdays or Sundays or something like that, or 10 minutes at the end of the day that will let me scroll after I've done all of my work, so it's not going to be as much of an issue because I'll probably forget it after I go to bed and then wake up refreshed and not really think about it until later in the day again. So I think I want to change that up a little bit, but it was a huge, huge game changer. And if you are looking for something to reduce your distractions and reduce just kind of all the stuff that's coming at you, I suggest maybe giving this a try. It doesn't mean coming off social media. It just means not just endlessly going through things over and over and over again. So now, what do I have going on in Q2? So basically we started Q2, I reset my Kanban board, which was really exciting. Probably should have filmed that, didn't. And I am basically going into the black hole of my year. If you've been following me for a while, this is my year end at work, and pretty much from about mid-April or so till about mid-June, I am basically working a ridiculous amount of overtime. I have a lot of deadlines to do, as well as when I do have free time, I am trying to make up for not being present for everything else. Plus it is baseball season, so we will be starting baseball games as well. So that's going to keep me quite busy, although I am really, really going to try to keep up this small word count every single day, because if I can do that, and I can get through to the other side, then I'm going to be in such a way better place than I thought I was going to be. Usually at this time of year, I kind of take what I can get in terms of writing and getting anything done, because I know that my brain power and my time is going to be completely occupied. So if I get anything done, I call it a win, and I'm going to go in with the intent of trying to do that. Trying to get those small amount of words has gotten easier and easier and faster every single day. So you know what? Even when I'm busy, I should be able to take 15 minutes, 20 minutes to get these little pieces into my story, and hopefully that's gonna work. But I will definitely report back to see how April goes. But for now, I'm going to get back to work. I'm gonna get back to my word counts, and hopefully you guys had a great writing month. If you are participating in Camp NaNoWriMo, let me know in the comments. I am definitely not, because I know my time is going to be limited, and I'm thinking maybe I will start in July, but April just never works for me. So what have you guys been up to? What are you doing that's working for you for your writing? Or are there things that you are struggling with that you would just like to chat about or commiserate about or anything like that? But until the next time I see you, happy writing.